Now get this. You have two ways to engage in the Forex market. You can tell your millionaire uncle from overseas to send you some dollars and get more than what you bargained for. Hopefully you have a savings account too, because those stuff give 2 to 3% in a year. Or you can follow the other option, putting your cash here, and by learning and doing the things the right way, which you could possibly be gaining 10 to 15% return on investments. You can even average higher, like this guy, Warren Buffett, who happens to be one of the best of the best, averaging about 25% in ROI for over like 50 years. Now that's a lot of sample size. But here's the catch. Like me, a regular bloke from Waigani, who barely has 100 kina to his name, and no millionaire uncle to come to your aid, I wonder what path will you choose? Oh, and by the way, this is my favorite uncle. Google him up.
Like gold, you got me so wild. Dripping like gold, I'm a queen, I'm a queen, I'm a queen.
So welcome to Forex 2 of Case Study 1. This session segment is all about breaking down how we trade the Forex market. Now in the last segment, we got introduced to the Forex market, and that's all on the Forex 1 video. This segment we will explain how we engage these markets. So if you're still wondering how to go about those two options in the intro, it would be either mean two things. Either you new here and you are lost, which I would direct you to the introductory playlist and start there, or you genuinely are trying to learn how to trade and you are following up on the playlist. So if that's you, let's get right to it. So how do we trade the Forex market? Well, in order for me to explain, I would first draw your attention to the words exchange. Now, we all know what an exchange is. It is simply an act of giving and receiving. Now there are specific clarifications to make when an exchange occurs. I'll just lay them out in points. The first point is that there is always two entities involved. Think about it. You can't say exchange something with yourself. An exchange always has to be a giver and a receiver. Now the second point is that both these entities are both givers and receivers. That is simple to understand. And the last point is that both these entities portray value. Well, not only to each other but to the marketplace overall. Now, I will place these points in a diagram for further understanding of how an exchange occurs. Since an exchange has two entities, you have entities 1 and entities 2. Now, how these two portray value? Well, let's just say these two are resourceful people in the build-up trade, and they are both able to produce these products. Now, we Papua New Guineans know that it takes 3 to chew betel nut, mustard, and lime. Now, notice how both the entities have a bullet point missing. Those are actually the resources that the both entities that are lacking in. Well, since both are lacking in one of three components of chewing bill nut, there is a demand for it. So in order for them to fulfill that demand, they both exchange. And not just exchange anything, but exchange what they both are lacking in. Now get this. You might be wondering, how does all these concepts of the word exchange tie in with the forex market? Well, if you change those two entities to currency, you will get such a diagram. The PNG kina with the Aussie dollar. Now we all know we would pay a certain price in order to exchange between the two currencies. These prices are determined by the country's economy. All that ties in with inflation, interest rates, banks' fiscal and monetary policies, gross domestic products or GDP growth, as well as other fundamentals that affect the economy in general. That is how these two currencies portray values, so it's important for you to understand these first before we move on. Okay, so now that we've seen the exchange in the diagram, we will illustrate how a trade in that exchange occurs. So in order for us to do this, we will have to first take one side of the diagram. Now, notice there is only one arrow in one direction. This will be abbreviated as PGKAUD. And in the Forex world, those are known as currency pairs. Now get this. These pairs have quotes and base currencies. The order of the pairs are written in a specific way because the currencies listed first is the base and the second is listed as the quote. So essentially what we've discussed in our 3 points about the currency pair in the case of PNG AUD is that the PNG Kina is the base and the Aussie dollar is the quote. Notice how the base and quote is in relation to the order of the abbreviation. Now, take what would happen if the price changes. Let's just say the Australian economy is booming due to the increase of the revenue from its GDP. Now, for our country, that would mean the demand for Australian imported goods will increase. Because, think about it, if you sell something long enough, the demand for it will increase. And so since there is a demand for Aussie goods, there is also an increase in demand for the currency in which they buy it with. That is the Aussie dollar. So now we all know what will happen when demands increase, prices increase. Now get this. If you went to a currency booth and bought $1 and kept it, if you bought it at the time when it was 2 kina 42 and the price increased by 2 kina 57 because of the Aussie's increase in GDP growth, well, had you gone back to change that Aussie dollar you kept to PNG Kina, you wouldn't receive 2 kina 42 back, but instead you would get 2 kina 57. That is a profit of 15 toea. The opposite would be true if the quote currency's economy did poorly, giving you a loss when the price falls at the end. So really, we have to speculate this, which is overall how we trade the forex market. Now, understand this. There's a lot more to what I've explained, but I'm using simple explanations to reiterate my point, which is sometimes not always the case in general. This goes back to what we mentioned in Forex One video, which is to learn every step of the way, little by little, in a step-by-step manner. Okay, so moving on. Let's recap on how we trade the Forex market. I've done 3 steps, so if you would like to pause and take note, feel free. This video won't go anywhere. But anyway, we've concluded Forex 2. And the next video will be about how we do this in a more detailed manner. So hit the bell and subscribe, be notified, because I will be getting into more important topics, and make sure to share this video out to your friends. The more help, the merry. And so yes, with that being said, well, thank you.